Welcome to the Sports Porch Philadelphia.
Welcome.
We are back in the house. We are live. We are all over the world. We are on Facebook. We are on LinkedIn. We are on YouTube. We are on X. And Schwarber, we are on Instagram.
Hey,
we're on Instagram.
Ho, the gram.
We're on the Sports Porch Instagram.
We're on the gram.
Got to start working on building some followers there, though, I think.
Yeah, and we got to get on TikTok.
There you go. We got to work on that, too.
Got to work on that before it gets shut down by U.S. government.
Yeah, I know. And we got to hurry up and
China's watching us.
So welcome to the show, Philly sports fans. As you can see, I am sporting now an official Philadelphia Phillies hat. Thank you, Grand Schwabini, for that. I appreciate it.
You got it.
It's time I got on board.
Yeah.
This is like season 2, year 2.
It might be more than that.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not a good record keeper. You know that.
Yeah, I don't know.
So what do we do here? Well, obviously we talk Philly sports, and we're going to do that today. I mean, the big story in Philly sports right now, obviously, is baseball season.
Mm-hmm.
The Sixers are out of the playoffs. The Eagles are, they ran through mini camp and they're working on their preseason objectives. The Flyers are doing what the Flyers do in the off season. So we're going to have some fun with the Phillies. So
yeah,
I do want to
Philly-centric show today.
I know. And finally, we've got a lot to talk about instead of like, I hope they get better, So, but first I want to remind everybody, if you're watching us live, you can see down in the ticker, you can follow the Sports Porch Philadelphia podcast on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, or anywhere you podcast. And of course, YouTube. You can catch the Grand Schwabini on YouTube occasionally. We'll talk about that in a little bit. You can follow Philadelphia Sports Porch on YouTube at Philadelphia Sports Porch. So let's jump into it. Let's go to page 1. It's all Phillies, page 1, 2, and 3. And then we got another special thing we'll talk about at the end of the show. Page 1, Ranger Suarez. Is this tweet that you sent me?
Well, it's part of it. I
mean, that's what I'm saying.
It's part of it.
And I think the more appropriate question right now, obviously the Phillies right now, they're 28-13. They're first in the NL East. They play tonight at 7:10 at New York. I didn't look at this. Have they taken 2 out of, or did they lost one to the Mets, right?
No, this is the first game.
This is the first game. Oh, I'm looking the wrong way in the schedule. Okay, so
they took 2 or 3 from the Marlins. The Marlins. Yeah, they actually, for those of you who are trying to catch up, Phillies have the best record in baseball.
Yep.
They did get kind of an uncharacteristic bad outing from Zach Wheeler the other day.
Hey, you're going to have one.
You're going to have one here and there. So, it's kind of funny. It's like he goes, I think he went something like 5 innings and gave up 6 runs, and like that brought his ERA to like 2.5.
Oh, disaster.
Right. Disaster. But it's like instead of like 1.7, it's now like 2.5.
Yeah, we can live with that.
We can live with that, sure.
So I'm gonna read this tweet that you sent to me earlier today in reference to Ranger Suarez from the Fanatic 97.5. His changeup is borderline the best pitch in the sport. He's thrown 129 changeups and he's given up 1 hit. It has been an untouchable pitch.
It's crazy, isn't it? And that's from Jason Stark.
Right.
Pretty big Hall of Fame baseball guy.
He's a guy that knows his stuff.
Yeah.
He's a guy that knows his stuff. So when I pull up Ranger Suarez, now, again, we're still, what are we, 28-13, so 41 games in. So 25% of the way through the season. He is 7-0. Pretty damn good. 54 innings pitched, only given up 31 hits, 9 earned runs, 4 home runs. Big number here, 8 walks. And by big, I mean good.
Small.
Yeah. And
small is big.
55. We've been saying that all our lives. Right. 55 strikeouts in 54 innings. It's a little early to be talking Cy Young.
Right.
Let's throw him up on against Wheeler, who is 4-3. He's got 65 strikeouts in 53 innings. Now he's not undefeated, but and the other day he did have a start that was not characteristic, but we were talking, everybody's going to do that. He does, however, have a .99 whip. Suarez's is .72,
right,
with a 1.50 ERA. I mean, that's pretty damn good.
Right.
Through.
Yeah, and apparently, I also saw another stat. I forgot to send it to you with Suarez. He's the first person to go 7-0, whose team has won all 8 of his starts with an ERA under 1.5 and a whip under 0.75 since 1908.
Okay, well, that's
like 120 years.
That's a pretty good statistic. I'll give you that for sure.
And I don't even know who the person was from 1908.
Yeah, we could probably look it up. He was probably a Pirate or a White Sox.
Who knows?
But it's early in the year. It is. But these are unquestionably Cy Young type of numbers.
They are those type of numbers.
What would you rather have, Cy Young winner or deep in the playoffs and possibly a World Series? I mean, that's an easy question.
World Series win is all that matters.
I didn't write my questions down before the show.
It's all that matters. But it would be nice. It would be nice if he could accomplish something like that.
Yeah.
Because he's a guy who, he's been a very good pitcher the last 2 years. And this seems to be potentially his breakout year.
Well, I would say so far it is.
Right. So far it is.
Yeah.
It's going to be really hard for him not to make the All-Star game at this point. He'd have to get shelled in his next 6 starts.
Yeah. He'd have to really blow it. Yeah.
Right. So, he's been unbelievable. And really the whole pitching staff's been unbelievable. They're getting great results from everybody. I mean, even their 4, 5, and 6 pitchers have really good records and have some pretty low ERAs as well.
Yeah. Well, when I go down the list here, Suarez was 1.5, Wheeler at 2.53. Now Nola's at 367, Sanchez 322, Turnbull. Is he in the bullpen now, or is he still starting?
He's in the bullpen now.
Yeah, 153 though.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about their pitching staff has performed the way it should perform.
Right. I mean, really, realistically, I mean, if you look at baseball nowadays, especially with the fact that there's a designated hitter in the National League now. Right. I mean, I think anybody that's got an ERA that's in the 3s,
it's pretty good.
Is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start getting over 4, that's when guys are average, or they might be really good pitchers, but they're kind of like good game, bad game, and they end up being at 4.5.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what Nola has been for the last few years.
Yeah. He has been. But this year, in the 3s, that's much better.
Yeah. 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 What do you attribute most, do you think, to the success of their starting pitching staff? The maturation of Suarez, Well,
I mean, I guess I would say, it's probably the maturation of Suarez. Also, I mean, really, it's kind of like the maturation of all of them, really. I mean, if you think about it, remember last year, I remember at one point, you were like, well, Wheeler's good, but he's not top tier. And I'm like, no, he is top tier. And I think now you're probably realizing he really is top tier. You know what I mean? He's pretty much like a top 5 pitcher in baseball at this point. He's reached that. Nola, it's interesting. I mean, last year, apparently, he really attributed, the reason why he said that he did well at the end of the season and into the playoffs was because he figured out what was screwing him up with the change to the pitch clock. And really simply what it was is there's a pitch clock on the right-hand side and there's a pitch clock on the left-hand side. And he was looking at one of them and he was pulling to that side.
Interesting.
And so he switched to go to the other one. And that apparently, he said, allowed him with his windup to be able to throw the ball where he wanted it to go.
Huh.
which is kind of interesting. You know?
It really is, because if you think about it, when you're a pitcher,
right,
there's so many, it's all about angles and velocity,
right.
And whether you're throwing 3/4, over the top, sidearm, all the different ways. And, in the past, pitchers threw basically one way.
Right.
You threw over the top, or you threw sidearmed, or you threw 3/4. Now, depending on the type of pitch and how you hold the ball and everything else, there's the angle you're coming from. They all change. It's become a much more scientific craft than it ever was.
And so think about it too, with the pitch clock, like you're now not actually looking at the plate until you're pretty much delivering it to the plate.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at the clock over there, and then it's like, okay, now I got to throw it over the plate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is kind of an unnatural.
It's different than the way you've been taught for most of your, know. I mean, further generations will be taught with a pitch clock. So,
And I think Sanchez, he's a guy that, like, they made him the 5th starter last year, and he just didn't give the job up.
Right.
And so he's become pretty good too. He's actually very similar to Suarez. He's got a really good changeup, which the one thing about these guys with the changeup, I have to tell you, like, for whatever reason, I still don't understand how the changeup can be so deadly for hitters. I get it. I mean, they're gearing up for like 95 and it comes in at like 80. That's a big difference. But
that's why.
But to me, I still sort of feel like if I'm a hitter and it's like, hey, if you're throwing at 80 or 82 instead of 95, I'm like, hey, I ought to just sit on a changeup here.
Well, I think the thing is that the difference between when you talk about the difference between, say, a 97 mile an hour fastball or the way they throw them now, sinkers that are 98 and
it comes out of the hand the same way.
Right. An 85 mile an hour changeup. It sounds to you and I like a big difference.
Yeah.
But you're talking you've seen the test, you've seen the numbers. When a hitter is up the bat, when the pitcher throws the ball, they literally have nanoseconds to decide to swing.
Right.
So the difference in the nanoseconds between 97 and 85, it's not something you can think about.
Yeah.
You've got to, if you're going to hit the changeup when you've been set up on the higher speed pitches, it literally, in my opinion, they have to miss on the changeup because you're basically swinging through the middle of the zone, and you've got to crush it. I mean, my father, who was a very good college pitcher and my pitching coach when I was younger, he taught me, actually, and this is, of course, way back, old school, but he taught me that the biggest advantage you have as a pitcher is changing speeds, and that was the reason. Not the type of pitch you throw, because you could throw a changeup that is a curveball. You could throw an 85 mile an hour curveball, or you can throw a 97 mile an hour curveball. Either way. So I think he's mastered it, and that's what's really helping him. It's a huge difference that we don't realize because we're not paid the big bucks to go up there and hack.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what Cole Hamels was really successful at. I mean, he could throw 94, 95, but he had that big changeup.
You got it.
And that's why he was a really successful pitcher for, 15 years or whatever. So there's guys like that, I always just feel like if I'm in a big game, it's like, give me Wheeler and let him just throw it right at him, 98 miles per hour, see if they can hit it.
Right. Well, look, that's another thing about pitching, that a lot of guys that try to nibble, they're not successful. Very few guys who could do that. Like Greg Maddux was a guy who would nibble around the plate, but he had perfected it because he perfected how he could pitch and how he could locate. He could locate. If you're if you're going to be a major league pitcher, you're going to be able to locate no matter what, but some are better than others. And if you can't locate expertly, then yes. I mean, think about it. Even the best hitters in baseball, if you face them 7 times, they're only going to get a hit 3 times. So throw it by them. But if you're a guy like Ranger Suarez and you perfect that, I mean, the upside is huge. Do you think that Suarez eventually, do you think right now he is, but not by much, but do you think that he's going to end up being better than Zach Wheeler? I mean, the numbers right now, I mean, Wheeler's having a great season. So,
yeah, I mean, I would say no. Just because Wheeler's done it for a couple years now. Do I think that Ranger could be like a good number 2 instead of being a number 3? Yeah, I think he could advance to that level. But I still sort of feel like the number 1 guy has to be a flamethrower.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, no, look, I mean, here's what it comes down to. It's 2 different kinds of pitchers, right? So it's like, just if you ask me something like this, right? Like, think about like the Braves. You brought up Greg Maddux,
right?
Okay. Who would you rather have pitching a must-win game? Greg Maddux or John Smoltz? I would say Smoltz because I want him throwing it by people. I don't want to have to hope that the umpire is giving me the strikes all day.
We're of course, that's a really hard question because both of them are Hall of Fame pitchers with unreal Hall of Fame statistics. I think Greg Maddux.
But remember, like Maddux, as I recall, I don't believe he was very good in the playoffs.
I don't remember that, but what I do remember is one of his stats is a really sick stat that's like he in his entire career when he went 0-2 on a count, he never walked anybody in his entire career.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like, would I choose him or Smoltz? No, I would take either one.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, but I mean, I think the question is understood. You like the power pitcher.
I do.
Dr. Google says 100 to 150 milliseconds to hit a ball. Thank you very much, Steve. That's Steve on track.
And milliseconds is, I'm assuming that's not a second.
No, millisecond is a thousandth of a second.
It's less than a second.
Yeah, it's a thousandth of a second.
So it's translation, not a lot of time.
Right. Yeah. If you're going to be Smoltz with Francisco Cabrera batting. Yeah. Well, that's the problem with Pirates fans.
Yes.
Those were the days when Steve was a Pirates fan, though.
Yeah,
we do remember those days.
Sure.
So I think to ask the question, is Ranger Suarez a Cy Young candidate? If you're watching, drop a comment. Tell us what you think right now. Do you think he's better than Zach Wheeler? I mean, you say no.
No. But here's what I would say. What I was kind of getting at with the statement is, do I think he is going to be in the conversation till the end of the year? I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to win it. I mean, but it wouldn't shock me if he comes in like 4th or 5th.
Right.
It wouldn't shock me at all.
So you're predicting there's going to be a little bit of a downward trajectory.
Well, there's going to be.
You just can't keep this up all year.
You can't. There's going to be some point of the season where he gives up 5 runs in 3 innings, and all of a sudden now the ERA is 2.5.
Right. Well, the longer the season goes, the harder that gets to achieve because, But okay, well, I'll tell you, impressive performance so far by the Phillies, especially their pitching staff. They're keeping it together, and at 28-13 with the best record in baseball, they've got a nice cushion to work with.
Now let's talk the long ball.
So let's talk long ball. Page 2. The Phillies home run leader will be, and your question is, will it be Harper or Schwarber? Again, early in the season,
they both have 9 home runs.
Yeah, but there's other guys on that team that can hit the ball.
Yeah,
far.
But they can, but I don't think anybody's going to come close.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well let's switch over to the batting leaders here. Right now
there's probably somebody who's got like 16 or something.
Well, I'm talking about I'm talking about the Phillies. Harper's in the lead with 9. And Schwarber currently has 9 as well, so they're tied.
Right, you're good at repeating what I say.
Thank you. Now Schwarber does have 59 strikeouts, which is fantastic.
Are we talking about strikeouts?
No, we're not.
No,
but I have to bring that up because he's the leadoff hitter. I always have to do that. Now Harper has 36 strikeouts, but I think Harper's going to end up because he naturally is just a better hitter. And he can hit the long ball.
See, that's why I think you're wrong.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I think you're wrong because I think Harper will not hit more home runs because he is a better hitter.
Okay.
Because Harper will take a double to left center field. Harper will line a ball up the middle. When there's a runner on first base, he'll pull the ball and get a ground ball single.
Right. He hits to the situation.
Whereas Schwarber, it's every time we're going for broke.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So, and that's I believe the last 2 years, Schwarber's hit 45 home runs and then 48.
Yeah, I don't
know. Harper, I think maybe 2 years ago went around 30. And then last year, remember he had that power outage, but then he finished the year like in the last 2 months with like 20 home runs.
Right.
But, I would say that Schwarber will find his way over 40, and Harper will probably be somewhere in like 30 to 35.
Well, let's see what we can pull up here. Home runs for Schwarber. He spent that 1 year in DC. He had 25. Then he played in Boston. He was injured. So the last 2 years, 22 and 23, he had 46 and 47 home runs.
So it was pretty close.
Yeah. And he had a few years with Chicago where he had over 30 and 38. If we go back to Harper, let's see what Harper's stats are as far as the last couple years go. Bryce Harper, last couple years, home runs. Just have to hit the see all button here. See if we had an outside producer, we would have these numbers up right away instead of waiting for Chris. Okay, so Harper home runs. He had a year with Washington in 2015. He had 42. He had 34 his last year in DC. And then with the Phils in 19, he had 35. He was injured in 20, or a shortened season in 20. 35 in 21, and then injured in 22, 18, and then 21 last year, and he was injured. So it's going to be close if he plays the whole season, because he only played 126 games last year, and he had 21 home runs.
Right.
Add another 38 games. Could he hit another 19 or 20 home runs? Maybe. I mean, the reason I say that I think it could be Harper is, yes, he is the better hitter, and your point is well taken. He's hitting situationally. Mm-hmm. He's not going for the long ball, but he makes a lot of contact, and he does have power.
It's true. And so you can you can hit a fly ball that on many days would be an out that carries for a home run,
right? Just
because you're a better contact hitter.
That's right. He's going to have more opportunities to hit the ball and hit it far, whereas Schwarber is going to swing through a lot of pitches.
Yeah, be sure will.
But it also speaks to how incredibly unconventional and brilliant this strategy is, having him be the leadoff hitter. I mean, he does have his average up to 217 now.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, because you realize, if he could somehow end up hitting like 250, then it's like,
he could be at 55 home runs.
Right. So it'll be interesting. I will say this. I mean, even though I said it, that he swings for the fences every at bat, I have actually seen him a couple times just try to hit a single and knock in some runs this year. Yeah. So he has actually adapted a little bit, and maybe that's why the average is a little better so far. Yeah,
because first of all, he's a professional hitter.
Right.
So I don't necessarily think he's swinging for the fences every time. I think he just has a big swing.
Yeah.
And I think when he's leading off, he's definitely swinging for the fences.
Right. Sure.
Because that's the whole
that's
Schwarber bomb. That's the mystique of the Schwarber bomb.
That's the idea. Right away the opposing pitcher's on edge.
Yeah, exactly. Because some guy just crushed it 430 feet.
Right.
So who do you think's going to be the home run leader this year, Schwarber or Harper? I mean, is it possible that we get somebody else in there? I mean, you've got Real Muto has 5 home runs. Marsh has 6. Trea Turner, if he comes back,
but he's going to miss too much time.
He's going to miss too much time.
4 weeks or so.
That's right. So before we move on to page 3, I want to remind you, you're listening to the Sports Porch Philadelphia. You're watching it live right now. If you are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, or YouTube, you can always follow the Sports Porch Philadelphia's podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or
anywhere you get your friggin' podcast.
And follow us on YouTube, the Grand Schwabini. Are we going to get any Phillies updates?
We will at some point in time.
Okay.
I'll do it when we have like a really good series coming up. Like we're playing the Braves, battling for first place, something like that.
You've got a lot of the technicality down.
I've got the ability to.
Yeah, we want to see the Grand Schwabini's face more.
I know people do. At the same time, though, I want it to be special when you see my face.
Yeah, that's right. It's always special.
If you see it every day, it becomes less exciting.
Boring. Let's ask Amy about that.
Right. I think she's excited every time.
There you go.
My face.
Yeah. Well, I mean that there's an exception to
probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are days where it's like this guy again.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And you can also follow the Sports Porch Philadelphia on YouTube at Philadelphia Sports Porch. We do have a Amy's.
Oh, that's nice.
It's a good looking face.
Oh, that's my lovely lady right there.
I look forward to seeing the Grand Schwabini's face every Monday. I will say that.
Yes.
I will. Now, if it was more than once a week, we'd probably have a problem. So page 3, once again, on the Phillies, because they're having such a great year. Who do you think will be the average leader? Now, I know everybody focuses on base percentage and OPS and all that kind of garbage. I like the average because it's like, it's just a true
pure hitting.
Yeah, like pure hitting.
Actually, you know what? This time, don't look up the Phillies for averages. Look up National League leaders. Let's see if either one of these guys has a shot at the batting.
Okay,
title.
So Trea Turner or Alec Bohm. Why don't you talk about why each of them may or may not lead the Phils and all that while I pull up the major league leaders here?
Well, I'm going to say Alec Bohm is going to lead the Phillies in hitting this year. Now, part of it's because Trea Turner is hurt, and I think it's going to be hard when you come back from not playing for 4 or 5 weeks to all of a sudden just continue hitting 340. That's why I kind of give the advantage to Alec Bohm, but Alec Bohm has really kind of come into his own this year. And I've always just really liked the way he hits. He just really hits the ball where it's pitched and goes to all fields. So what are we looking at the leaderboard here?
What we're looking here this is actually really interesting. I was not aware of this. Yeah. So Shohei Ohtani is leading the league with a 352 average. This is the National League. William Contreras in Milwaukee, 346. Now, Trea Turner is third at 343, and Alec Bohm is fifth at 338 with Mookie Betts sandwich in the middle at 339. Okay. So as of right now, both of them have a shot.
Yeah, they have a shot.
They do.
They have a shot.
Unfortunately, there's a guy, Superman, named Shohei Ohtani.
Right, yeah.
Who is ridiculously good at playing baseball.
Yeah. I mean, what is it? Like somehow he can't pitch, but he can hit 350 and probably has 20 home runs already.
It's ridiculous. Well, no, home run leaders. Ozuna in Atlanta has 12. Shohei has 11. Now, Bryce Harper, and you would include Kyle Schwarber because he's not on the list, but they both have 9. They're fourth on the list. And ERA, Suarez, Ranger Suarez, 1.5, just going back to that pitching thing. But back to the batting situation. Now, how long is Trea Turner out for?
Well, it was 6 weeks, and it's now, I believe, 4 weeks.
Okay.
He's been out for 2 weeks now. Yeah.
All right. So he still has a shot, but coming off of an injury, you never know.
Right. It's hard to pick up and bat 340.
Yeah.
When you're cold for 6 weeks.
Yeah. Alec Bohm at 338. I mean, outside shot at the batting title. I would say if I was going to pick.
Well, really, we wanted to know the Phillies leader.
Yeah. I was going to say, if I was going to pick just because of the injury to Trea, Alec's going to have to stay hot, and I would lean more towards him.
Well, also remember too, though, like Trea Turner's I think a lifetime 315 hitter or something,
right? Whereas
Alec Bohm probably has never hit 300. Maybe he hit it once, in his rookie season.
Yeah. So pulling up Turner's career. His career is, let's see, career batting for Trea Turner. His career is 298. Close enough.
Yeah, close enough.
298. And if we go back to Alec Bohm, let's find Alec here. Trea Turner's been playing a little longer than Alec, right?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So if we go to Alec Bohm, Trea Turner, 298 career hitter. Alec Bohm is a 281.
So it's not too far.
So yeah, I mean, you're talking about, one slump for Trea, and Alec stays hot.
Right.
Now of course, at the end of the year, watch these guys be batting 230.
No, they won't. So
yeah, I give the edge to Bohm this year because he's kind of having a breakout year for the Phils, and Turner's injured,
right.
And do they have a shot at the batting title? Outside.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, it's almost outside for anybody, except maybe Ohtani,
right?
Right. If you're in the lead at the moment, it's not an outside chance, but anybody else, it probably is.
Yeah. What if you were to pick a glaring issue with the Phillies right now, and even though they're in best league in baseball, playing great ball, where are some holes right now? Bullpen?
Not really. I mean, I would.
How about Rube's question from last week?
The closer,
lockdown closer.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if there's one area that could really help them, it would be to have a lockdown closer.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think the weakness, and I don't think it's a weakness just of the Phillies. I think it's the weakness of many teams, which is, and for any team in baseball, I mean, the bats can go cold.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is look, the Phillies, they've done a better job this year of, playing small ball and, getting moving runners and things of that sort. They've done a better job this year than in past years at that. But at the same time, look, I mean, all these guys, Trea Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Bohm, Real Muto. I mean, all of them. They all love to hit home runs.
Yeah.
And, you start getting into, these one-run games in the playoffs, and all of a sudden nobody's hitting a home run. Then all of a sudden it seems like it's really hard to score.
Right.
And then everybody starts squeezing the bat a little too tight, and then the other team, just puts a few through some holes in the infield, and all of a sudden they're up 3-1.
Right.
Right. So that's the thing about baseball that's tough, is it's such a long way to go. But at the same time, I do still feel it doesn't always happen, but I do think that you've got a better shot winning the whole thing if you're the best team most of the year, beginning to end,
right,
as compared to a wild card team that gets hot.
Right.
I think you have a better chance at that.
Right.
So I say, look, let's take it all the way. Let's try to beat the Braves and win the division. And, let's see what happens.
Yeah. It's strange to be talking this way about him now. It's actually kind of like, hopefully nothing bad happens. Right.
Well, it's kind of a relief though, because the last 2 years, I mean, they'd be sitting right now, like, out of the playoffs.
Yeah, maybe 500 or a couple games under.
Right. And I think the big difference here is, I mean, they might only have like a 1 game or 1.5, 2 game lead in the division. You want to see what that is?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
What is it?
Looking at the standings, excuse me. I wanted to say it was a 1.5.
The standard is the standard.
The standard is the standings are the standard.
Yes.
I wanted to say it was a 1.5.
I think it is 1.5.
2-game lead. Phillies it's a 2-game lead.
But here's the more positive outlook on that. How many games are they up on the team that is the first team out of the wild card? Probably a lot. I'm going to say like 8 games or something.
Yeah, it does. Oh, wild card here. The first game out of the wild card, they're 2 games in front of Atlanta. Well, Chicago's is in the wild card, up by 3 games. San Diego is tied a virtual tie. Oh no, San Diego is the third. It's not 8 games.
Do you know how to figure it out?
No, please help me.
Okay. The team, like there's 3 wild cards, right?
Right.
1,
Braves,
2, 3?
Cubs, Padres.
Okay. So
right.
what's the team that's 4th?
Nationals are a game back.
Okay. And what's their record?
19-20.
19-20. And the Phillies record is
23-18. 28-13.
28-13.
Yeah.
So they've got 8. They're 9 games ahead in the win column.
There you go. I get it.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually knew how to do it, but I was looking at the games back and whatever.
It's okay. You can admit when you struggle with mathematics.
I do. I struggle with mathematics.
Yeah, there you go.
I had to do mathematics most.
But that's really the key. I mean, that's where the cushion is.
Yeah. Yeah, because you just want to make the playoffs.
Right. I mean, well, you don't. You want to win the division, but as far as last year, it was like, oh crap, like they got to win like 7 to 10 to get back in this thing.
Right.
Whereas like now it's like, hey, seriously, if they played 500 the rest of the way, they'd make the playoff.
Right. Well, this is much more of a team effort. It's
right.
It's a year where it seems like after kind of a little bit of a rocky start, not terrible, but a little bit of a rocky start, they kind of got everything going and everybody's playing their role correctly.
Right.
Topper's not making a whole lot of mistakes.
Right.
And, professional sports, sometimes it comes down to luck more than skill.
Sometimes.
Because your skill level, unless you're the Pittsburgh Pirates, is pretty much on level with every other team. It's just there's certain positions maybe you're a little better at. There's certain things maybe you get lucky at. The ball bounces your way. And all of that's working for the Phillies right now.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully it will continue. It will continue.
Is there a page 4?
There is a page 4.
What's that?
The page 4 is, once again, the 2024 Philadelphia Cheesesteak Challenge is coming soon on Philadelphia Beautiful's Facebook page.
Yep.
And maybe we'll put a little bit of that on the Philadelphia Sports Porch YouTube channel. But tell us about the Cheesesteak Challenge. The Cheesesteak Challenge. Yeah, it's hard to say.
I know, because you want to say cheesecake.
I do want to say, well, that's my fault because I was saying it.
Right.
Pat Steaks did celebrate about 5 days ago their 100th birthday.
Yeah, I saw that. That was nice. Yeah.
And that's the cheesesteak that I learned to eat when I met you. That was the first real cheesesteak I ever had.
You get real nostalgic about it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So every year we've had this cheesesteak challenge, and we basically, come up with sort of like an NCAA bracket style format, and one place goes against another cheesesteak joint, and on and on and on until you get to the final 4, and then the final 2. And then every year is a champion. So we've done it for 6 years now. We've got 6 different champions. Last year's champion was Curly's.
Curly's Comfort Food.
Curly's Comfort Food in Levittown. And it doesn't have to be exactly Philadelphia.
Yeah, Philadelphia area.
Greater Philadelphia area.
Right.
So, Curly's is like 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia. Folks,
but please, no one from New Jersey, okay? No New Jersey cheesesteaks.
No, I think Lily's.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
So, the bottom line is it's a lot of fun. People get really super excited about it. I mean, last year in the finale, we had like over 10,000 votes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of voting that goes on, and people are rooting for their favorite places. And so prior to launching this, which will be right after July 4th in June, we're putting together we're calling it the Great Cheesesteak Debate, but it's not really a debate. It's just kind of more talking with some of the great cheesesteak operators in the region. We have a yes from Curly. Curly's going to be on.
I can't wait.
Last year's champion, which is great, and I'm looking to hook up with a few others. If you happen to know some of the better cheesesteak operators around, certainly let us know.
Yeah.
If you have an easy way to contact them, really open to having just about anybody come on with us. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, you can, if you know of somebody who runs a cheesesteak joint who would be, first of all, a great addition to the competition, you can reach Mark on Pittsburgh Beautiful. Just message him there.
Yep.
He's extremely responsive, so your message will not go unnoticed.
Nope.
And hopefully we'd like to have 2 or 3, of these great cheesesteak masters. I think we should call them cheesesteak masters.
Sure.
I don't like the operator word.
Well, I did because I didn't want to say owner, because some owners might not make cheesesteaks anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they, well, whatever. Like we need to have it'll be the cheesesteak master, the master cheesesteak debate.
Right.
Yeah, and as Mark said, it's more of a how did you get started? What do you like best? Kind of a like just hear them out.
Yeah, how did your story evolve?
Yeah, how did your story evolve? And give them a chance to talk to each other.
Yeah,
about cheesesteaks.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, so we're really looking forward to that. That's gonna be a lot of fun. So more news to come on that as far as a date and all that. Once we get another master to get involved, we'll get all
master on board.
Anything? Any last words, Schwarber, before we head to wherever the hell we're going next?
No, I mean, look, obviously Sixers is just waiting for the playoffs to finish off, and then who they're going to bring in. And then, yeah, I see what Steve's doing there.
Nice.
Did you catch it?
Yes. Master debate. Yes.
Do you get it?
Yeah, of course I get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I think the question should be, did you do it before the show? Yes. I calm myself down. Anyway.
So that's the Eagles. Flyers, really not going to be talking until the offseason there either. Eagles, I mean, the kind of news you get these days is like the Eagles just signed their 3rd, 4th, and 5th round pick today.
Yeah. Big deal.
Big deal. But as things happen, we will keep you posted.
Yeah, I love how other shows, they like to dive into the minutia of this, and I can certainly understand that, but we like to talk about the real relevant things, like when the starting lineup is set.
Yes.
When camp is in session and who's performing well.
So I got one more thing before we sign off for the day.
Lay it on me. So
as somebody who, grew up close by to Philadelphia in the town of York, PA.
Yeah, it was only 90 minutes away.
Right. Yep. But, your father made some poor decisions and raised you as a Baltimore Orioles fan.
No, that's not true.
No?
No, but you finish your thought and I'll tell you the story.
Okay. I don't know. I want to hear the story.
Well, it'll explain some things.
But anyway, so who is your favorite Philadelphia Philly of all time?
My favorite Philadelphia Philly of all time is Mike Schmidt.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy though.
It is easy, but for real. And like, I love the Phillies of the 70s. I love Schmidt. I love Steve Carlton. I love Pete Rose when he was on the Phillies. Yep. But here's the story. My father did not raise me as a Baltimore Orioles fan.
Really?
No. York has the distinction of being about 90 minutes, maybe 90 to 100 miles. I could be wrong on that, but close enough to Philly, and also about 65 miles or so north of Baltimore. So you get a real diverse amount of fans.
Right.
In York, Pennsylvania. So when I was growing up, I lived amongst Eagles fans, Steelers fans, because it was the 70s, Colts fans, Redskins fans, very few, but Redskins fans. And then for baseball, it was mostly Orioles fans, but there were Phillies fans. My dad grew up in D.C., a Redskins fan and a Washington Senators fan.
Oh.
When the Senators left, he adopted the Phillies as his favorite team.
Did he? So your dad actually had things together.
He did. For that, just that.
It was sensible.
Just that.
It was sensible.
But I turned him into an Orioles fan.
Well, then your dad really didn't have his wits about him.
No. Well, I never did what my dad asked me to do anyway. But what we're praying for here on the Sports Porch is that we have a Philly Orioles World Series.
That would be something. A rematch of 1983.
God, would we have fun.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be great.
The last time any Philly team had a rematch in a final was the Eagles playing the Patriots again after the Patriots had beaten the McNabb and T.O. Eagles.
Yeah, the throw up.
Yes, the throwing up on the field. Yes,
that's right.
Thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
And now, but then since then, now it's, Tom Brady, Nick Foles owns you.
All right. And with that being said, thank you for watching the Philadelphia or the Sports Porch Philadelphia all over the world on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Instagram. And of course, we drop the podcast right after the show. So I encourage you, please subscribe to the podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. Leave us a review, a comment, follow us on YouTube at the Sports Porch Philadelphia. I am your technical director.
Yeah, and I just want a special shout out to all our fans in Istanbul, Turkey. Thanks for tuning in. We love you guys. Always great to have you watching.
I am your technical director, and I am out.
There it is.
Jubilant.